everybody. Welcome to our podcast with Michelle Clark. And I am totally. I mean, we've done some podcasts, right? And you guys have seen some of those, but this is the podcast of podcasts, like the creme de la creme, if you will.
Right.
These are the golden ladies that had started everything, that was a part of everything, that made things happen. And we've talked over and over about this being the 20th year since the first high school graduation. And I'm so excited. So what I'm gonna do is kind of let them introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about like what they just did a tour. So Lord only knows what they saw, but they just did a tour of like from 2000 blah blah to 2026. So I don't know which way you guys want to start first.
Well, we'll start over there because
Oh,
we'll
you
let
just got nominated.
we'll let
We
the
start
we'll let
All
the someone who
The
came
oldest
in
with the
from
brick
very
person.
beginning, the
Yeah.
original brick.
Yeah.
The person who came with the bricks.
Yeah.
And actually, that is not a joke. That is the truth. In 1972, they were building Michelle. Well, they began before 72, but in 72 they were finishing it. Mrs. Clara Holton was the very first principal. Sorry, my name is Peggy Malablocki. And when I started here, it was my very first year of teaching, so it was very, very exciting. Mrs. Holton interviewed us in the auditorium because we technically weren't supposed to be in the building yet. We were technically not open. So that's where she was interviewing people, and I was so excited. I was hoping she would pick me to come teach here. And so I did get to come to Michelle Clark when it was a middle school. It was a middle school. It was actually Austin Middle 1,
Yeah.
Austin Middle 1, later to become Michelle Clark, get to take the name of Michelle Clark. And so we were 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and we opened with 1,500 students.
Wow.
And the areas on the ends of the building were houses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The areas on the ends of the building were commons areas, first floor and second floor. And in the middle of the second floor there in House 5, there was also a commons area, which is where we had lunch. And I see you still use what we would call House 1 and 2. Those are still lunchrooms and absolutely beautiful. So I loved the chickens, seeing the chickens outside. That was so cute. That is just so, made me smile. When we first arrived here, though, it was so stunning to walk up to the outside of this building, and the murals were just so beautiful. But I want to say, though, the minute you walked in the door, the vibe, schools have vibes. The vibe here was so strong, so welcoming. And I'll tell you another thing I noticed immediately, how happy the children are. And that says something about a school. Okay, and yes, they're going every which way, going about their business to and from class, and eventually we saw them going to and from the lunchroom. But they're happy. You can see they're happy to be here. That says a lot about a school. So
It's what I spray through the vents when they walk.
oh,
All right.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
it was amazing. Enough about me.
Well, hello. My name is Annette Gurley. I came to Clark as a substitute teacher in 1985. And I was a sixth grade teacher in room 150. I taught there for a while and then moved to House 2 as a seventh grade teacher. And then some years later, I think it was like 1991, I should go back. So I too, Peggy, was hired by Clara Holton. And when Mrs. Holton retired, Marietta Beverly came in as the second contract principal of Clark. And under her leadership, I transitioned from the classroom into some leadership roles. So I became teacher facilitator, then assistant principal, and then when Mrs. Beverly got promoted, I became principal of Michelle Clark. So fortunately, when I started here, Clark was grade 6 through 8. And in my very first year as principal, we began the transition into the high school. So I had the opportunity to be the first principal of a high school graduating class from Michelle Clark. And that was the class of 2006. And we're coming up on that 20-year celebration. It's wonderful to be back home.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm Eileen O'Toole. I came here in 1990
Mrs. Beverly hired me as a science teacher. And the lab I had was in room 242. I taught 8th graders at that point because the houses at that point were grade level houses. So I had all 8th graders for just a couple years. I loved teaching science when I was here. And then as years go, you get into leadership roles here. That's one of the things that a part of Michele Clark culture was. They built team leaders, and then team leaders moved on to be other leaders. I was the first IB coordinator.
Oh my God.
Okay, and so IB MYP came along the line, and so I became that coordinator, and we built the program in one little section of the building, a grade level at a time. We started with 6, moved to 7, and then it came time when the high school came along, then 9 and 10. We built it through there too. So it was wonderful working with all those teachers. At that point, my role was I worked with so many teachers, making sure that we were IB trained. And before I left to become a principal, we got our authorization.
Yeah.
In fact, the last year I was here was the first graduating class. And then I left to become a principal of Albany Park Multicultural Academy. But it was through the culture of this school that actually helped me become the leader who I was.
And all those people out there are IB coordinators.
I know when
Yeah.
I
They
saw
are.
that, I was like,
Oh,
it was
We're
just
hosting
like,
the district's IB coordinators.
You have to go out.
yeah.
So I'm going to get you out there to say
I really, I smiled at that when I saw that. But I too want to say that the minute I walked into the building, I wore a smile and I carried it all the way through. It was wonderful to see the culture here, from the students to everyone who works here, just carries that positive aspect about them. Like every kid I talked to, and I talked to so many, they were welcoming, and I love that. Your teachers were welcoming, and many of your staff members, we got to meet a lot of them in their various roles. It was great. Can I just tell you how beautiful the building is, too?
Yes. Yes.
Having been an administrator, and they,
That's your boy out there waiting.
when you look at the floors,
Yeah.
oh my God, you can see themselves in it. Okay, but what you have done to the walls, that just brings a smile to your face. It lifts your spirit. And when we talked to, Peggy mentioned about the kids and how they really look like they want to be here. Well, it has to do with what you have brought into the building physically too. It just makes you feel good. From all the murals to the student work that's present. Thank you.
No,
Thank you for carrying on the dreams that we all had for Michele Clark.
Wow. It's been
Yeah.
Miss Gurley knows that I'm
Oh.
always like, oh no, I'm standing on your shoulder. I can't mess this up.
Yeah.
I'm trying so hard.
It is.
Miss Fred,
Well-
you want to talk?
Well, not particularly. I'm just playing. For those of you, everybody knows me here at the building anyway.
Yeah.
But I came from Michele Clark in 2004, and I was hired by Miss Gurley. And I must say that as soon as I was hired, I told them I'm never leaving. And I'm still here.
Yeah.
So
She's true to her word.
Yes, I am. But I'm so happy to be among these greats.
Yeah.
Truly, it makes me very proud to be a member of this Michele Clark family. So I'm just thrilled to be here, and thank you all for coming.
No, yeah, I was gonna say. So you took that from me, but I was gonna say thank you guys seriously for coming because this
Yeah.
has been so powerful for me. But one of the things, and I always say this to Ms. Gurley, I never want to do something that doesn't honor the people that I stand on shoulders.
Yeah.
And the important piece for me is when we started doing even rooms, and that became the Gurley Center. She's like, "Why you naming the room after me?" I said, "Because I want someone to say your name way after we're gone."
Yeah.
And so as you probably walked around, you saw there was rooms that we've already named.
Yes.
Because the number system here was so crazy. I don't know who created that number system in this building. I was like, how is 134 next to 150? So that might have been what you guys did too.
I want to know what happened to 207.
Right, that's what I'm telling you. So
Right.
many. And so it was funny, like, when I first got here, we had to do like a whole map of the alarm system, like with the buttons, and we were ringing. They're like, "That says you in two such," and I'm like, "It can't be because that's not what's on the door." And I was like, "To change this, who did this?"
Yeah.
That's why I was like, "They're giving me too much work."
Yeah.
But I will tell you that the reason that this is near and dear to me, besides the fact that I stand on shoulders and I don't want to let people down because I'm only here because of other people, is that I was a part of Austin Middle School too, before it became Frederick Douglass. So we had to choose which school we wanted to attend. And literally I grew up where I could have came to Michele Clark or went to Frederick Douglass. But because I had older cousins, you know, back there, everybody had to go to the same school.
Yeah.
So all cousins,
That's
if
true.
if everybody went, right?
Yeah.
And so we all ended up at Frederick Douglass. And except one cousin ended up at Michele Clark. So for me, it was about, it's Michele Clark. And I remember the only way to get off of Laramie is you have to pass Michele Clark.
Yes, indeed.
And so when they pulled me from the elementary school where I was the principal and said, we want you to come to Michele Clark, I was like, oh, no, right? Didn't I? I was like, no.
He did not want to be.
And it wasn't, let me just say this, it wasn't because I knew people or thought it was a bad school. I was comfortable at an elementary school, number one, even though I had no elementary experience. Let me just tell you that. When I first got there, I was like, why are these little chairs here? And they was like, those are going to be for the kids. And I was like, oh, they this small? But I would tell you, I was nervous about taking it because I knew the greats that had went in here. And I just didn't feel that I don't want to use the word equipped, but I felt like it was so much work that I was going to have to do because of so many people I would let down. Especially even now we have like 4 students that work here that were under Miss Gurley. The police officers that on the 15th district came from Michele Clark.
Yes, they did.
And so I just knew that was going to be a lot of work, and the last thing I wanted you guys to be like was, they let that last guy in here, and you know what?
He dropped the ball.
Everybody carried that ball, and that last guy came in here. And so every time I felt like it wasn't at that point, I just felt like I was like, I can't talk to Miss Gurley because she's going to know. So talk to me about, like, I can't even imagine walking in here, like, and being like 20. I just can't imagine that. Like, I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Like, because you coming from a perspective of, like, you really just grew up being the principal, here. I can't imagine that.
So I do want to say this. I did share early on that when I came, Clara Holton was the principal, and we were strictly grades 6, 7, and 8. And at that time, CPS had lost funding, and I believe, Peggy, when the school opened up, they opened up as a full middle school with all sorts of workshops and typing rooms and things like that. They lost funding. So by the time I came to Michele Clark, the title said middle school, but really we were self-contained. We were in the self-contained classrooms. And so Marietta Beverly came, I want to say it was 1991. And when she came in as principal, she had done her research. She saw that the title of the school said middle school. So she had done all this research on how do middle schools function?
Right.
And that's when we really began to transition back into the middle school concept. She invested in all sorts of training for us. We went to conferences for like the very first time. We had retreats, professional retreats,
My favorite.
where we had to learn, how middle schools function.
Right.
And then we came back and we tested those things. And some of the things worked for us right away, some didn't. I'm sure these ladies remember the first time we tried to give the students individual schedules.
Oh,
That was you, baby.
It
What a
was
brilliant-
hilarious.
that was
the
such
middle
a
school's
brilliant
Middle
idea.
school students had individual
So like high
schedules.
schools.
It worked on
Yeah.
paper. It worked on paper. It didn't work with real people.
We
And
had
so
like
not
200
only-
kids in the gym
That's right. The
and 3
teachers were
kids
confused.
in math
The
class.
kids were confused, and it was like, who made this mess?
Yeah.
So we only did that for a short
year.
a short
We
period
No,
of
we
time.
didn't do. No, it was weeks.
Oh, y'all only made it
short
weeks.
period of
Oh,
time.
we only made it
Maybe
weeks.
2.
Because it was such a
Oh,
disaster, and it was totally confusing. And I can remember our consultant at the time, Sharon Peichel, who was a wonderful, actually a pioneer in the CPS
Technology, yeah.
for helping schools move into technology and creating schedules in
Yeah.
classrooms
Right.
and report cards online, etc. She but she was not a teacher. She was not a school person, and so on paper it did work beautifully. And so she was flummoxed by why we couldn't make it work. And when you put all these little people with a piece of paper in their hand,
Yeah.
going, oh no, I have to go to
It's
room.
almost like our freshmen now. 'Cause
Yes.
That's what they do.
I'm
I
supposed to
tell
be in room with Mrs. So-and-so, and that's not who's in this room. So they go back out in the hallway looking for Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so who was on their schedule, who was in a totally different room,
Yeah.
and not teaching what they thought they were supposed to.
And I'll tell you the other thing that probably confused them is the numbers on these rooms.
Oh man.
No, by the 3rd day we realized they weren't confused because what we thought we had as a backup was every kid had to carry their schedule with them.
That's right.
That way, when we
right.
went in the room and there were
Yeah.
too many kids in the room or not enough, we could look and we could see. Well, by the 3rd day, nobody was carrying their schedules,
Yeah.
right? So we stuck with that for maybe
knew.
a week and a
Okay.
half, and
Right.
then
And they
just
could
for sanity's sake, we
Walk
went
through the hallway
Yeah.
with their schedule going,
Yeah.
I'm looking for my room. And they could say a teacher's name, Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so, and the person would say, oh, well, they're down there. They would walk on their merry way.
Yeah.
So
That is so
they had a
funny.
good
I
time.
did.
They had a
Oh,
good
yeah.
time.
But I think that's also one of the things that I learned coming here was you could tell that you guys were not afraid to try things. And so, of course, I was like, let's try some things. I remember like my first year here, they were like, the auditorium doesn't hold the whole school. And I was like, well, then how are we going to do a pep rally? We got to get them all in. And they was like, no, you can never get these many kids in there. It's a fire hazard. You're going to be in trouble. And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, we're going to be in trouble. Put them all in there. And you remember that?
Yes.
It was, yeah. And that was the last time. No, I did it again later. But the first time, everybody was like, they on my foot. Get off my foot. Yeah, you know. And I was like, please don't fight. Please don't fight. I don't really know all y'all, but I put my neck out saying we were going to all be in here for this party.
I don't remember what year it was where we discovered if you took the chairs out, you could get a whole lot more people in and that's what we did.
Yeah.
We would ahead of time stack all the chairs, drag them out in the hallway. We just sat on the steps. Okay, we didn't bother because you could fit at least another 200 kids in there
Oh, yeah.
if you
Yeah.
took the chair. I don't know if you guys do that anymore, but
We don't take the chairs out yet, but so I'll tell you this: we've now just kind of fixed it where, like, I'm like, okay, and I'll have this whole conversation with students, like, we can ready to try this. Don't make me look bad. You know,
that's good.
right? I have to have that type of
Yeah.
conversation because if you make me look bad, we don't be able to do nothing else. Now, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm saying, and then that's the one, and I'm sure you did this too. But that was the one where I was like, y'all better be watching me at all times because if I give you that eye, that means shut up. Right?
Yeah.
The look, man. That
Yeah,
look, I'll
yeah,
tell
the
you, that
look.
look was like, what?
Right.
You know.
And you get that look because then they'll be like, oh, it wasn't me. And they're trying to tell you who it is, and you're like, just make sure. You know, you probably didn't do the look though.
Oh, she had a look.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See, every time I'm seeing Miss Girlie, she's always smiling, or she has
Okay.
that
I
look
know,
that says, "We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna." It's the
Yeah.
She had to
positive.
look with the staff and the students.
Yeah.
And you knew what it
And did
meant.
you know you had the look?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
So seriously, you know you have the look in the classroom.
right,
You do.
exactly.
You know
Exactly.
when the kids
Yeah.
start
Yeah,
shuffling
yeah,
and what
yeah.
have you, kind of know, and then it just
Carry
transitions.
over.
Yeah, it
It
does.
does.
You know,
Transitions.
and
Yeah,
people
it
know
really
your
does.
You know. It
expectations.
It transitions.
Let me tell you another funny story. So we went from being, somewhat like the scourge of the West Side or what have you. Remember when Louis Armstrong decided to go up to 6th grade. So that pulled students who would normally
Right.
come here at 6. They did that because Leland decided to go up to third grade. And that pulled the kids from this.
Oh,
So
yeah,
what
yeah,
was
yeah.
actually happening, and so we were losing. We didn't have students coming in, so we went recruiting. Does anybody remember? We took our show on the road, and we go. I think it was John Hay or someplace where we
John
went.
Yeah.
We had, because this is a beautiful building. It's
Yes.
always been a beautiful
Yeah,
building,
it
but
has.
you've even taken it to the next level. So we go there, we had our slideshow, and we showed the school and the swimming pool and all the things that the other schools around here didn't have.
Right.
And when we finished our presentation, I'm thinking, well, I wish my child was old enough to go to Michele Clark. And then it came time for questions and answers. Those parents tore us up.
Oh.
And one lady said, I wouldn't send my kid there, and I get off the expressway at Laramie, and when they fight from Harrison to Madison. I'm thinking, oh gosh. But we learned from that.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
came back and we talked to our kids
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
You know, you guys go out there with our jackets and our sweaters on, and you're,
Right.
creating
Yeah.
havoc. The
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
see that.
Yes.
But what was amazing, we didn't have fights in the buildings that much.
Yeah.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
the students,
Right.
they would tell you this was a safe zone.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
kept it like that.
Respectful.
So if
Yes.
now from Jackson to Madison, it may be all hell, you break it loose, But that was not in the building. A lot of people couldn't understand that we really had a
Safety.
nice, safe
Right.
environment for the students. you
So
know?
I will tell you what I saw is that changing the narrative of your school is so very difficult because people will always remember something that happened
Right.
that you're like, that happened so
50
long
years
ago, right?
Yeah.
How was that? Because you guys had to keep changing the narrative for Michele Clark, not only because you were competing with everyone else, but then when you became a high school, you had
Yeah.
to still hold
Right.
It happened over time, and when we made the impact with the children, and Mrs. Jordan alluded to that, when we made that impact, I spoke earlier about going to the middle school conferences, and we would go to Colorado and oh gosh, we've been some every
Florida.
place. Yes,
Vegas.
and when we first started going, when we would say we were from Chicago, the whole row would like look down. Like, "You're from Chicago."
Yeah.
And for a long time,
Yeah.
we would be like two of the only 4 blacks in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, the National Middle Schools Conference was here in Chicago one year. And the few people that we knew from having gone all those years, they all wanted to come to Michele Clark, to visit Michele Clark. In fact, they had a motor coach bus come to Michele Clark. The bus was full. People came in taxis. And we're thinking,
Wow.
what? They're coming to Michele Clark,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And so they get here, and we had the student leaders taking the kids on the tours around the building or what have you. And so we're walking through, and they're taking snapshots of everything. And I'm thinking, we had like the locker rules were posted on the wall, and they were taking some. And so as we're walking, one lady, an African American lady, sidled up to next to me, and she said, do your kids ever fight? And I said, do me a favor, ask me that question when we come back into the media center.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, mind you, we had student leaders in there with us too. And so she asked the question again. And so I was all set to answer. Joseph Butler jumps up out of his seat. And he says, and he goes, oh, Miss Gurley, can I answer that? Can I answer
Right.
that? And I'm going, well, I guess you can. And he said, we're like family here. And when we're here, it's like they're our parents, like away from home. And yeah, we fight or what have you, but we wouldn't ever want to do anything to embarrass them. And I thought, I couldn't have answered any better
Yeah,
than that.
yeah.
And it was a very truthful answer. He
Yeah.
said, we would never, he said, we're on our best behavior today. We don't, this is not a wild school or anything, but we are. We want to be seen at our best. We wouldn't dare let them down.
Yeah.
And I go, yes.
You like,
That's
That's
what
Joseph,
we
guess
were
what?
trying to
Joseph,
create.
right?
Yes, a place where kids wanted to be.
Right. I recognize it right now, just like the students were walking up to people saying, I'm going to hug you.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Now,
Correct.
today.
Today.
They were just,
Yeah.
can we hug you?
Today.
You know,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I think that you have continued the family feeling
Correct.
here,
Yeah.
which is important.
Very.
Because
Thank
like
you.
you say, students have to feel safe. They have to feel wanted. And I was listening to the news how they was talking about attendance and what can you do to get them to
Saw
come.
that.
The students are coming. because they want
Yes.
to be here, because they feel safe, they feel loved. They hug teachers, they hug each other. You know,
Oh,
you
my
saw
gosh.
that when you were walking
Right.
through
We
the
did.
building,
We
how they
did.
just walk up and say, "Can I give you a hug?"
Yes.
So I think that's important, you know, that family feeling.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for being with us. Listen, don't go anywhere. Make sure you get the next episode. These women are amazing with great news,
Yes.
great words, great. And on the next episode, I'm gonna get some wisdom, some pearls for them, so that I can finish out this before I retire.
There you go.